Yo, 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 what is good? It is Threadguy, and we are back with a very special episode. We got Alon, one of the co-founders from pump.fun, on the podcast. Alon, thank you for joining me, brother. How you doing?
Really good, thank you, and thanks for having me on.
Yeah, of course. Thanks for coming on, dude. I mean, I don't know for a fact, but I can imagine you're one of the fucking busiest guys in crypto right now. And you've been on just an absolute, you've been on a heater of a 6 months of a year. How long has it been since pump.fun like officially was created?
Late January, we started building it in December, and kind of in the space and ideating around Memecoins for quite some time, but building for even longer for a while until we actually were able to find something that worked.
How are you, dude? Like how over the past like you said last January, but really it feels like the last like 6 months, 3 months, things have gotten just like insane. Like how are you like mentally right now?
Yeah, I think I'm doing pretty well. I'm really happy. Obviously, really happy with how things have been going. Continuing to be really hungry and growing what we have. But yeah, I would lie to you if I said that I didn't lose a few hairs over the last 3 to 6 months. It's been absolutely insane. It's really like honestly, it feels like it's been 2 to 5 years. Like I feel like I honestly changed as a person as well since so much has happened to myself personally.
Yeah.
The project, the space in general.
Yeah.
There's just a lot going on. Yeah.
Your hairline looks crisp though. It's looking sharp. Does your day to day like change as things just go parabolic with pump.fun?
Of course. I think when we started, we were a tiny team. It was just us, the co-founders, building it really. So we were hands on with everything. But as things grow, you need to constantly reassess and switch what you do to continue growing the ship, right? Yeah, because I mean, ultimately, I remember I said this. This was like one of the pivotal moments of pump.fun when we initially started gaining, steam. I think this was in March, and the site started breaking for the first time. That is kind of like when we saw, hey, maybe this is when we need to start looking forward and becoming a company, really, because people really like this, and we should give them what they want and continue expanding on it.
That's like the NFT bull run OpenSea thesis. Like website is down, bullish. Prices are going up. There's too many users. Like the ultimate bull sign.
Yeah, for sure. Not just in crypto. I think anywhere in consumer, it's a signal for sure. And we've had that many times over, regrettably perhaps. But I think recently it's been going very well on that side of things as well.
So I would imagine that the majority of people listening to this are familiar or have used pump.fun at some point. But we're expanding the Threadguy YouTube a little bit. We got some new audience viewers coming in. I guess just like quickly to knock it out, how would you explain pump.fun to a complete normie who maybe is bought $100 worth of Bitcoin on Coinbase but has never really used or interacted with any apps in crypto?
Yeah, so pump.fun allows you to basically create your own crypto, your own coin in under 2 minutes or under a minute even for under $2. The way it works is you just need to think of a name, a ticker, and a JPEG, an image for your coin, and it just costs $2, and all of a sudden it's in the blockchain and people can trade it. The main idea behind it is that loads of people want to participate in meme coins, trade them, but creating them used to be extremely expensive. Yeah. Not only because, well, you basically had two options. Either you knew how to kind of interact with Solana or Ethereum, or you had to pay for some expensive tools. And on top of that, you had to provide liquidity. Essentially just means they need to provide some money up front so that your coin can actually start trading. And ultimately, that the minimum cost is at least a couple $1,000. Now, we saw that this was kind of broken. We felt like that because it was so expensive, it basically was only worth it for people that are really in it and people that wanted to extract from the ecosystem, right? Ruggers and so on and so forth. So we came up with, so what we did is we implemented a bonding curve when you launch your coin. And the simple idea behind it is you don't need to provide liquidity. It's just $2. And then from there on out, it 100% of the tokens are sold on it, meaning that no one has any unfair advantage, so to speak, of getting tokens before the coin even launched. So even you as the creator need to buy in like everyone else. You can't take any of the liquidity. You can't
Mhm.
change the name, the ticker, the JPEG. Once you've actually created the coin, it's immutable on the blockchain forever. So essentially, it's for the community from day zero. And essentially, what eventually happened is because pump.fun was a much better deal for people to launch coins.
Yeah.
It also became a place for people to discover them, right? Because people want to get in early. They want to see what's new. So it fairly quickly became the place to discover coins early on too.
Was there like a specific moment when you realized, holy shit, Pump Fun is about to go insane?
That's a really good question. I think that moment that I told you about in March,
Yeah.
it was a pivotal moment. But to be honest with you, when we first launched it, we knew there was something to it. It was not. I think we knew it was something special from the second we even thought about the idea and started talking to people. Started because we were trading in the space for a while, and then we really thought about it. Like, what are really the problems that people are facing trading shitters on Solana? And we quickly saw
Yeah.
there's something here. There's something special. We built a bunch of ideas before pump.fun, in SocialFi and NFTs. We even experimented in really the most random areas and corners of crypto,
Mhm.
and nothing really felt like
Yeah.
it's gonna get there. But with pump.fun, really from the second that we built it, we knew we had a really good chance of making it work. And especially when we launched it and we saw some of the spark, like, we just knew that we needed to just get it over the edge, and it was probably going to succeed. I think none of us could have foreseen, the acceleration that the platform saw, especially at the later stages. When you had celebs coming on and all that crazy
Oh,
shit.
we'll get into that. Insane.
But we had very, very strong conviction in the idea, and us solving this more than anything, solving these problems in the space. We always had tons of conviction in those, and we're gonna continue building on those and improving the ecosystem.
How did you get it over the edge? Because you don't do a lot of interviews. Feels like Pump Fund does like very little, if any, marketing and so on and so forth. Like, how did you get Pump Fund over the edge and really become like the standard to launch and trade meme coins?
Yeah. So definitely not any traditional marketing.
Which I love.
We haven't paid a cent for marketing.
Really?
Nothing. Yeah, literally nothing. We've basically fully been reliant on Twitter. We use Telegram here and there, but what we used Twitter for, obviously we have our account and stuff, and we try to promote ourselves that way. But that didn't really get us over the edge. What really got us over the edge was literally door-to-door salesmanship, like literally, DMing and cold DMing people and having conversations with them. Truthfully, I this is something that I spoke about as well. On my Twitter, that I messaged 3,000 people, and that's how I kind of try to get pump.fun off the ground, alongside my co-founder as well, who also messaged a whole bunch of people. And yeah, this was not an exaggeration whatsoever. Like, we actually messaged thousands of people to try to make this happen. We went after people that we saw are kind of into meme coins, and the rest is history.
You know who else did that? I think is interesting is Dan Romero from Forecaster has a story where I think their first maybe 5,000, but I think 500 users. He had a 30-minute Zoom call with every single one. I think it's like an underrated strategy. What was the like initial response when you're out here cold DMing people? Yo, we got this product, Pump Fun. Like, what was the initial response? What did people think about it?
Yeah, no, that's a good throwback. Essentially, when you first message people, you quickly realize how bad you are at it.
Yeah.
So you try to like grab their attention
Yeah.
or something, but most people are just regular dudes. They're fine with having a conversation about, if we're talking meme coins, we would quickly realize, let's just talk about meme coins. What are you holding, etc. And then we kind of got into like, just having a conversation with them, seeing what's up, what their problems are, what their interests are, and eventually you kind of get to like pitching. At some point, you have to pitch. You have to show them what your intentions are. Otherwise, it's a little disingenuous. But people don't like to feel like they're being like you're selling them something. You want to actually show them that you care and that you're providing them something that will positively improve their experience. And I think at some point we kind of perfected that art. And honestly, yeah, it was a huge pain in the ass to get off the ground because when I started, I had like 0 followers. You know, I had like a couple hundred followers and stuff.
Yeah.
But with many people, didn't have mutuals. I literally like triple texted people. I got blocked tons of times.
You're really good at Twitter though. Like, have you ran up a Twitter account before?
Never,
Really?
never.
You're-
Well,
Okay. Okay. We'll talk about it off air.
Yeah.
You're a really fucking quality poster. Why has no one built pump.fun like before pump.fun?
it's a really good question because this is one of those things when we built it. Yeah, usually good ideas when they actually end up succeeding. You're like, why has no one ever built this
Yeah.
before? And we feel like I think people. So one really important thing is there's a big distinction between, and I think this is a bit regrettable. And I think for cryptos generally to move forward, this needs to change. There's a big divide between users and builders. So users are like degens, and builders most of the time have no idea who their target audience is. They don't know. They actually don't really understand the space. It's pretty absurd because usually, in Web 2, the builders, the founders that end up being really successful were in the trenches, really understood the products, really understood the markets. That's the key. And I feel like there's a lack of that in crypto. So to get back to the point of we knew this was kind of going going somewhere. Is that
It was on the topic of
is basically So when why has no one built this before? I think the big challenge is that for the space generally is that people builders, because they don't really understand users in the space, they don't really understand the market. There's a huge stigma with building in meme coins, and you had that with NFTs. I think you had that with crypto generally. I think with everything in crypto that has ever been successful, it's always been stigmatized in day one. Not just because people were sidelined and really pissed that they didn't get in early, but genuinely from a product perspective, people didn't understand it. They got pissed off because it like contradicts what they believed in the past. Yeah. Like with meme coins, for example, like everyone believed last cycle, like the whole point of last cycle was like, we're going to build things that matter, and we're going to prove to everyone in TradFi and Web 2 that, I quit my job and I quit it for a good reason. Like I'm building something that's actually
real.
So I understand when this totally contradicts their worldview. Yeah, people are gonna get pissed. But meme coins have always existed. Meme coin, Dogecoin has been there for a decade. Ultimately, I like to make the comparison between meme coins and NFTs because ultimately they're the same product, just repackaged differently in most cases. So that's the big thing. Builders, there aren't enough builders that really looked at the market. What are people trading, playing? Like, what are they doing? And try to analyze those problems. That's like one big reason for sure. And this problem still exists today. Literally yesterday, I saw some Asian VC that was like preaching to builders, don't build in meme coins. It's a distraction. Like people still don't get it. It's crazy.
So what is your take on that? That meme coins are just a distraction from like the core idea and beliefs of crypto?
Yeah, I said this. I think a few weeks ago. I think crypto Twitter is crypto's best product by far.
That's such a good take.
And it's why do we come back to crypto Twitter every single day?
Twitter like is the product.
It's the product, not just because look, why do you come to crypto? I think most of us come to crypto because it's a huge opportunity financially for your career and stuff like that. I think most people's big decisions are based on that. No one takes their life and puts into something because it's like kind of fun, kind of goofy and silly. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the reason that you're not just skated away in private chats or just like trading perps and not talking to anyone or not trying anything is because of the culture that crypto created and because it's such an open space on crypto Twitter and you come back every day. It's fucking absurd. It's the craziest place on the planet.
It's the best.
It's insane. Like you have Caitlyn Jenner coming in creating a coin. Like, well, what is this? You know what I mean? It's insane, truly. So I think that in and of itself there's so much value in that. How can you not see that there's entertainment value in this? Like people are spend hours on it. Like there are people that have like $20, $50 in shitters and they come back to crypto Twitter and they get to know these characters, and they go on pump.fun, and they have these KOLs and stuff. It's just like it's this really interactive, entertaining experience, and there's nothing like it. And I think that is what people are missing.
Do you think you're like the first team that has built a product specifically for crypto Twitter and the attention cycles on CT? This is a really interesting take.
It's a good question. It's a little bit vague because you can really take this a few ways. I mean, I guess this is kind of related to SocialFi, right? We're not the first SocialFi product for sure. There's Friendtech, there's Fantasy Top, etc. And even before that, there are many social experiments and people building stuff on Farcaster and whatnot. But I do think our unique angle, and this is, if you really look at what pump.fun is for what it is, like that's you'll eventually discover this, is that it captures the attention cycles because it's such a simple product, and it's like meme coins have always kind of been that product, but we just really accelerated it. So in terms of when something happened on crypto Twitter, so this is a good example. Like when something happened, before pump.fun, when something happened in world news, or maybe something on crypto Twitter happened that was significant, someone would create a coin like 4 hours later, which is like today that's like unheard of. Like the second something even happens, like people even speculate on the most mundane things. Like Ansem tweets something that's kind of like, yeah, he said some crazier shit before. Like, he's had more banger tweets. People take that tweet, they throw it on pump.fun, and they kind of they see where it goes. And I think that is a big part of. That is like the big difference with our product compared to what existed before. We just really empowered people to ride these waves and to explore like what can succeed, what can't succeed. I like to use the example of TikTok and just short form content generally. Before that you had YouTube, and people had to create these these longer videos, get their own software. It was like really, there's a significant barrier to entry, just like technically and also in terms of effort, when in reality a lot of people just wanted to share like these short videos. And there were emergent behaviors in YouTube in the early days that people wanted to post shorter videos and just do it casually. And that also came with the rise of the mobile phone and et cetera, et cetera. And then TikTok came along, or Vine, and those kinds of companies. And all of a sudden, instead of just one kind of niche of content that was being served, all of a sudden everyone was being served. So how YouTube was just like kind of like North American content creators back in the day, and it kind of expanded internationally as it really took off. And it was just mostly just like there's a lot of gaming stuff, there's a lot of I guess IRL stuff, but because you lower the barrier to entry so radically, like literally a 0 to 1, you're going to empower people to create content that didn't exist before. Completely new forms of content.
New metas,
new everything. Some things that were like that just wouldn't happen before. Like I mentioned this a while back too, like with pump.fun. If you heard news trading used to mean that you were on Binance and you're waiting for for data to print, US data, non-farm payrolls or whatever, and you're trading that with on perps with leverage. I think that's going to change. I think people are going to start trading, and I think no one calls it news trading, but I know people that are on Twitter 24/7. They wait until something happens. They either create a coin, or they wait for a coin to be created, and they play the game. And I think that is one aspect that is completely unique, that was just made possible by pump.fun.
The YouTube TikTok analogy is so good. Because it's 100% how it works. It's like some crazy shit happens. Andrew Tate does something crazy. And then like 24 hours later, 48 hours later, there's like a long form process edited high-end software YouTube video that goes out. Or there's like 10,000 TikTok videos of like 15-year-old kids with their like iPhone in the school bathroom just like doing a dance or like making some funny shit on their phone. Like low quality. And you realize the low quality, quick, attention focused stuff bangs. Like people love that shit. They eat it up. And there's also like a Malcolm Frank take that we talked about off air too, where it's like pump fun has evolved crypto Twitter significantly. Like usually there's like, but prior there's a big news drop, someone in CT, Ansem, whoever does something crazy, and you go to crypto Twitter, you're posting about it, you're shit posting about it, you're memeing about it. Now you go to Pump Fun and there's like 500 tickers. Immediately people are now commenting and posting about the tickers that are in reference to the thing that just happened. Like, how do you see Pump Fun like evolving crypto Twitter?
I think there's a lot to unwrap there for sure. I think the thing that comes to mind immediately is that it's a coins are a different expression of how significant an event is or a notion is than just posts. Because when you have posts, usually you have like tons of them, and even if you have one, it's just likes, and likes come at no cost. It comes at a very low social cost. So if I like your tweet, you see that I liked your tweet, and back in the day, like literally not even a month ago, other people would see that you liked that tweet. So there is a social cost associated with that. But now you need to put your money where your mouth is and pump.fun, right? And you need to that is a totally different form of expression, and what that means is like I think pump.fun is the most truthful. Like if you want to introspect into what's happening in crypto Twitter and like what crypto culture is today, you need to go on pump.fun and see what people are trading and what the metas are, because that's truthful. That's what people are like putting they're putting their money where their mouths are, and the metas and the ideas that end up succeeding reflect that, and they really reflect CT, and they reflect CT better than CT these days. I mean, not just because there's so many social incentives are not necessarily aligned. Like for instance, people want to retweet others for, I don't know, you have like I don't know, Twitter cabals or whatever. Absolutely. Or you have people in the space that, again, I like mentioning builders that don't really understand crypto. Yeah, they a lot of them have insane pedigree and they get amazing likes, and they talk about this, I don't know, insane tech that they're going to build, but ultimately it doesn't actually reflect CT culture, because no one is using these products, right? And also, yeah, I mean, these days, likes and retweets get botted the shit out of anyway. So
shout out Fantasy Top.
Shout out, yeah. So I think pump.fun presents, or Memecoins generally, with a really low barrier to entry, present a better form of truth of culture. So let's say you have Polymarket is literally the reflection of truth in outcomes. But I think pump.fun is a reflection of reality in culture.
It kind of feels like engagement on crypto Twitter is like what people say, but then trading activity and market caps and volume on pump.fun is like what people do.
Yeah, and I think actions speak louder than words. So people are like, people have said meme coins are dead for months. People have said pump.fun is dead for months. They've said that, they've said different metas are dead for months. He said Ansem is dead. He's not the main character. But you go on pump.fun and it's like these are the things that not only is activity like being consistent, but it's proliferating. It's increasing. It's really growing. And everything that comes with it. So it's not just the platform and meme coins generally, but literally these like metas are. You can say what you want, but these are the things that have persisted and they stand the test of time.
So let's talk about the memes proliferating. I mean, there's been this narrative, I feel, for the last like year and a half, that this cycle was like the meme coin super cycle, and it was kind of thrown around, and it feels like now it's like really happening. And I think there's no one closer to the front lines of memes than yourself and the Pump Fun team. Like, what is your take on the meme coin super cycle and just how crazy it can get from here?
I think one thing that people are missing, people love to put things into buckets, right? So they love to say that this cycle is the meme coin cycle. This is the last cycle for meme coins. You know what I mean? Yeah. I think crypto from day one was the meme coin super cycle. Ooh. You know what I mean? It's like,
that's interesting.
I think if you really take a step back, everything is a human construct. Everything is a meme. Whatever. I don't want to get into the philosophical aspect of it necessarily, but the point that I kind of want to make is people want to to speculate and play with cultural with these cultural assets. You know, so you've had NFTs for a very, very long time, and people want to create them too, not just because it's, you know, it's exciting and it's fun. No, obviously they're in, you know, most people are in it for the money because, yeah, you can create something and it can go crazy, right? This is, you know, crypto's number one use case from day one has been speculation, and it's been permissionless asset creation.
Yeah, yeah.
Simple. This is what it is. And the way you differentiate yourself. So if anyone can create an asset, and especially now, so people used to be able to create assets basically for free. Yeah, you had to seed liquidity for a couple $1,000s. You had to kind of know your shit, and the tech used to be more complicated. And onboarding was not very. There's tons of friction, and there still is today. But the point is that people used to be able to do that, and they're still able to. But because anyone is able to do it, the only way to differentiate yourself is through culture, right? Especially when the tech is so complicated and it takes so long to develop these things, right? I feel like people over index on how successful technologies have been in crypto. So they're like, okay, NFTs have failed, therefore crypto is a failure because there are no non-speculative use cases after such a long time. This is, you know, tech takes a really long time to actually play out. And I feel like because anyone is able to create their own asset, it just seems like everything. It kind of seems like everything is a meme from day one because you don't really know how things are going to play out. If you buy into some sort of tech coin or a DeFi coin, you don't know if people are going to be using it in a couple years, and you have all these regulatory issues. So you don't know if it's like going to be tied to this DeFi protocol's revenue or not. And ultimately, so this is for the you know the tech coins.
Yeah.
But aside from that, people from day one just wanted to create coins for the sake of creating coins. So the only way to differentiate yourself there is through culture. And again, you see that again and again today for things that don't even have assets attached to them yet. You know, you've got tons of projects like Monad, Barachain, etc. that value culture very heavily because they see that. I mean, you're gonna see like, you know, Smokey for instance say that too. Like what they're building is a large experiment, right? There's a good chance it's gonna succeed. There's also a chance it's gonna fail. But ultimately, these you know, tech is like one big experiment. So you need to make people believe in it somehow so that you can get them together and test it out and try it out. And to get there, you need to differentiate yourself culturally somehow because you can't just give them a white paper and be like, believe in this.
Well, that's the thing that's so funny about the infra coins is like, if we take the fact that there's minuscule differences across them, and then the majority of CT participants have no clue what it is or how it works under the hood, the only thing that differentiates them is the culture on top of it. Like even with the L2s, feels like L2 is just one giant glob, and they're all basically the same to anyone that actually uses the front end of them. And then the only differentiating fact, like the only reason I would use like Blast over a base over an Arbitrum or whatever else is like, okay, Fantasy Top is sick. I want to use Fantasy Top. It's on Blast. I'm going on Blast. Like that's what's interesting to me about the infra debates, where it's like it feels like there's so much negative energy towards like the memes and the culture and putting things in a bucket. Like it's like infra tech coin or it's like culture meme stupid. When in reality, this side of the equation is what makes this side actually interesting and grow users.
Yeah, I mean, everything is business at the end of the day. So if you don't get users on it, like at some point, or people talking about it at some point, it's going to fail. So it doesn't matter if your tech is much better than anything else. If people didn't use it, it doesn't matter. And I think a lot of the infra people kind of know that. And I think those that really accept it and appreciate it have done much better than everyone else. I think there's a very big reason why you know, Base has seen a lot of success. Obviously, you know, I think I like to use Base as an example because it's so obvious. Why do people use Base? It's because it's backed by Coinbase, right?
Coinbase.
It's fucking Coinbase,
Yeah.
and you've got, but it's the narrative. It's the narrative behind it. Do they have really sick onboarding for Coinbase users to Base right now? No, absolutely not. And are they going to be close to it in the next couple months? Maybe a bit closer, but it's not. They're not there yet, and they will say that too. Like I'm not
Yeah, yeah,
taking
yeah.
this. I'm not like throwing shade or anything. This is what they're saying, and it's true. But people use base, and people like go there because there's well, number one, there's stuff that for them to do, but secondly, before there's anything for them to build, why did Dan Romero decide to build Farcaster there, or Frentech? Why did they decide to build on there on
Okay.
day one? There was a really strong narrative that they knew they were going to be able to get users on there because, yeah, Coinbase is it's the strong brand. People are attracted to it. Maybe one day it's going to help onboarding flow. They're a big team. Maybe they can help me build. Everything is driven by narratives, and the tech only gets really relevant if you end up really succeeding. So for instance, if pump.fun succeeds and there's tons of congestion on Solana, that's obviously not a great thing. In the last couple of months, in the last month or so, I'd argue that hasn't really been much of a challenge, and that proves that Solana is actually good tech because a few months ago,
That's a good point.
we've had some issues with congestion, but slowly it's becoming a non-issue, and hopefully with Fire Dancer, these things become even it becomes even less there's even less friction for users to face, and that actually proves that the tech is good, but that comes later. What comes before is culture, and when you talk about DeFi and these sorts of applications, you also talk about liquidity because liquidity matters so much too.
Is there any part of what Pump Fun has added to the space where it almost creates like a greater barrier of understanding meme coin metas and which memes to buy if you're not like deep trenches crypto Twitter? Because you go on Pump Fun into as is the learning curve on crypto Twitter. To get in on the surface is low, but to like really get in, there's layers upon layers upon layers upon layers. And then Pump Fun in sort of like the rapid meme coin metas are even deeper down that layer rabbit hole. Like, is there any truth to almost added complexity for like a normal participant to really understand what is going on other than spraying and praying?
That's a great point. I think to some extent that's definitely true. I mean, if you're talking trading meme coins and trying to buy them at 50K, I think it probably should be that difficult,
Yeah.
right? When it's like if you want to buy a coin that ends up getting to like a billion or something, it shouldn't be easy, right? Like ultimately the more layers of, I wouldn't say complexity, but the more competition there is, the the fruit is just gonna be that much sweeter. It's gonna be that much better, and it really is. It really is. If you've seen some of the outcomes that have come out of pump.fun, I would say like again, you can hate on them as much as you'd like, but they have so much mind share in the space that it's ridiculous, right? Like like if we're talking about what coins people are talking about when they're the newer coins that have existed in the last like 3 to 4 months, the pumped up fun coins are so extremely overrepresented. It's not even close, and there's a reason for that. The reason for that is they had to battle it out in the trenches,
Trenches.
and it's the same thing on Twitter. Why do people really love and why are they really obsessed with someone like Ansem, right? Because there's thousands of people on crypto Twitter for years, and this person was able to really capture the minds of so many people.
That's interesting.
They were able to do that, and there's something special about that. Ansem was able to call Solana at the right time. He believed. He also got in on Whiff, similar to meme coins, where it's like, market was bad, for example, or people lost hope, and then this coin went on a crazy run. It's a similar notion, and I would say that that it exists for a reason.
Uh, the influencer take is actually really interesting. It's like you win the fucking king of the hill battle. There's like so many influencers that are trying to do the same thing, competing for the same attention, and the one that rises to the top battled it out in the fucking trenches, and they have just that much more just energy and aura around them, which is really interesting. Here's something for you: is how have you seen attention cycles on memes evolve after the creation of Pump Fund and like the ease of accessibility to launch tokens? Like, have we seen it really speed up? Where rather than there being like a king token for the full cycle, there's like king token of the month, king token of the week, the day, the hour.
Yeah, I like that. I like that term. So definitely, it definitely sped it up a lot, right? Because people can create their, like, you can really max how sustainable a meta is, quote unquote, in a very short period of time, and like really truly test it. Um, so I do feel like it definitely made it shorter.
It's interesting to
It-
see too, where it's like last cycle was my first, and you sort of so this would be like second like real cycle. Seeing we'll see how it plays out. But there's always this like belief the first time around where you see like the king coins and even with NFTs, especially really with NFTs last cycle, the king make coins and the king make NFTs are created, they're established, they're certified, they're stamped. You see the attention they get, and you sort of we with NFTs would label them blue chips or whatever, and you sort of would just like always assume that in the bear market I should be bidding last cycle's blue chips because of course they're going to come back because we decided that those were the ones. And then what you like realize pretty quickly is that there's nothing to say that what was hot last cycle was going to be hot this cycle. And then what I feel like I'm starting to see play out this cycle is like, let's forget cycle to cycle. Let's just talk about the one that we're currently in. Is there's coins like a whiff, like a Mog, which is cooking right now. But a lot of these coins that are like DGen was one I was huge on Forecaster, which was like 3 months ago. It was at 2 bill, and even within the single cycle, they get a ton of attention. Market cap goes crazy. Users, everyone's talking about it. They own the mind share, and then people move on to the next thing. But there's nothing to say that it's all gonna go back to whiff or it's all gonna go back to degen within this same cycle because now there's Michi, now there's Billy, and now there's like 50 other coins, um, and so much competition. I feel like at a level we haven't seen for attention that Pump Fun has created. Like this is Pump Fun phenomenon. Like you guys created this, and it's in a way like second-handed, like really levels the playing field because it's no longer like fuck man, I missed Dogecoin and now I'm sidelined on the meme coin trade for like the next 2 years, or like oh I missed whiff, I missed Pepe, I'm sidelined on the meme coin trade for this entire. See you in 2027. Like it's not. It's like go find Billy, or like go find Michi, or go find the next one. Go find
yeah, I
lock in.
think for sure. I think every month or every couple, honestly, every couple days, people get disproven on that. I think that's the beauty of it as well. Because people are always like, man, I really miss the old days of Solana when it was so simple. Like, yeah, you got in early on this huge
It's a
meta.
skill issue.
It's a skill. It's never coming back again. Stop whining about it. You know what I
Yes.
mean? Like, you need to look at today and stop. You know, you need to stop looking at the past and look at what can happen from here on out. Like, it's really that simple. And I feel like it just like I feel pump.fun somewhat. I don't know how to put this. I guess like brutalized it. It made it crystal clear. Like you need to learn how to deal with these cycles. And honestly, that's why I think it's good. It's a good breeding ground for traders because then it's like you need because there's like mini cycles. It's like this is the shortest cycle, but there's much longer market cycles than that, right? You've got you've got the week, you've got the month, you've got the year, you've got the 4 year cycle, etc.
Well, what it did too is it like distilled every layer down, peeled every layer back to like the core ingredient, which is attention. And I was just thinking about this as you're talking about it. Pump.fun allowed liquidity to flow through crypto memes at the same rate or really close as actual like non-crypto memes and just like social media. Because if you look at social media, there isn't like a meme of the cycle. There's like the new like board Elon Musk, if you know him on Twitter, does this thing now where he's like this week in crypto Twitter or this week in social media, and he posts like the four most like relevant memes. So like this week it was like Sam Altman driving in that car. There was like a the fake ripoff Hawk Tua. Like there's we're on like the fourth iteration of the Hawk Tua meme, which was like 3 weeks old,
Yeah,
right?
the Hawk to a meta.
Yeah, the Hawk Tua. Yeah, we're on like the fourth iteration of that. It's not like okay, Hawk Tua is like 2024's meme. Like it doesn't work like that in the real social media. And what else Pump Fun? Like I was thinking about this as you were talking. I'm curious your take on this because we can now assign like a dollar value. It's sort of like immortalizes the significance of a meme. Because in regular social media, if we take crypto out of it, there's really no way to compare which meme was like more impactful, right? In the real world, like on TikTok, okay, it was like a TikTok trend, it was a TikTok dance, but like which TikTok dance had a bigger impact than the other one? Or like which Twitter meme was more impactful than the other one? You kind of just, you guess, you go off likes,
Google Analytics.
Google Analytics, Google Trends, but it can all be gamed. It's all like there's no it's what people say, not what people do with their actions. There's no way to really like there's no way to do like a meme battle. But in crypto, there's a market cap. And you can literally see which meme was more impactful, which meme got more attention, which meme like mattered more. And pump.fun like democratized that. Where every single mini cycle meme trend can now be like compared side by side rather than like, okay, there's 10 meme coins for this cycle. Like it's pretty interesting how that happened.
Yeah, it kind of comes back to what I mentioned earlier that that pump.fun is a really good measure of culture or created that environment. And I also think that I think for the space generally, what people gloss over is that it's really, in this experimentation, there's people are trading, right, or playing this game. Some people make money, some people lose money. I think when you lower the barrier to entry so significantly, the like really in the trenches in that discovery phase, it's a lot less significant, right? So what we had before is I would consider that part of history where meme coins just kind of started picking up in Solana. I would be much more nihilistic in that sort of environment because in order to really test how good a meme is, if it's lasting, it had to really gain steam because the trenches weren't accessible. You really need. It was like only really a few hundred people that were like really in there because it was so complex and um, you need to put a lot of effort to go there. So a coin had to run to like 5-10 mil
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
to get there. And what ends up happening is that liquidity flows out of the system in discovery because when you're discovering whether something sticks or not, there's a lot of information asymmetry between like people understanding people understanding the meme, people understanding the history, especially on Solana when there's like the block explorer hasn't been amazing. You know what I
Oh, it's
mean?
garbage.
When there's community takeovers, like I think it's pretty absurd that you can't look back and witness the community takeovers of like Whiff or something like as if you were there in real time.
Yeah.
Pump.fun I would say not only democratized the actual financial side of things, but the social side of things too. You can go and see what happened on day one for Michi and Billy. You can like it's there forever. You can see exactly what happened and what led to its success. So what ends up happening is that in the discovery phase, it's a much more fluid process than before. You have far less of these coins that sap liquidity out of the system. You have far less pre-sale, bullshit pre-sales. Yeah, it's a lot. It's true to what it is ultimately. And one thing that I find interesting, and I think I mentioned this on Twitter as well, is that I had people that that reached out. I had a bunch of people that reached out to me over the months, and because launching a coin basically has to take place on pump.fun these days, they're asking me, hey, how can I like kind of get around that? You know what I mean? So that like I can run it up and control the supply. And I'm not saying any of this is impossible. Definitely not. But if you're launching a coin on pump.fun and you're not actually actually, let me take a step back. I want to talk about VC coins
Yeah,
and
yeah.
like cabal coins and
Yeah, let's
whatever.
talk about it.
I think that's one of the most like debated
Yeah, yeah.
topics on crypto Twitter, especially by people that are skeptical of meme coins, because everything is a cabal coin. Every meme coin is manipulated, quote unquote. Those are the kinds of things that are being thrown out. I would say everything has buyers and sellers. Everything has bag holders that want the price to go up. In one instance, you've got people that have let others join in early, right? If you launch something at pump.fun and you can control 50% of the supply, that's fine. But the other 50% can be bought up, and if it's transparent in the way that people kind of understand what it is for what it is, then it's far less it's a lot more honest, and ultimately it's what's going to stick rather than some, I don't know, quote unquote cabal coin or VC coin where they didn't let anyone get an entry. That's like one of the main things. And you can't see what happened in the past. So when people reached out to me and they're like, how can I, it's kind of like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. Like you're not going to be able to make it happen, because then they're like, we want to make it see. So when we were like, when the coin reaches 100 million and people see how it launched, we want it to seem like it was organic.
Seemed like it was real.
And I'm like, brother, like you're never going to be able to achieve that. It's impossible. It's that simple. And none of them ended up launching pump.fun for that reason, because it's like, this is not how the game works. And I think that's actually one of the most underrated steps forward for, honestly, like I don't want to take too much credit for any of this, because I think honestly Memecoins we're going on this trajectory in the first place. The market is a powerful force. I can't change the way the market's going, but we can influence it. And I feel like one thing that is overlooked with pump.fun is the access to information. It democratized that, and I think that is really, really important.
Moving forward, post pump.fun, how do you think that will evolve how the space thinks about these VC cabal coins?
I mean, I think people are kind of seeing it for what it is. People still kind of want to buy them, get into them. That's fine. I mean, this is what the market's for. It's supposed to be permissionless. But I think, when is the last pre-sale that you've seen raise 10 plus million?
That Meta got destroyed.
Meta got destroyed because now I think pump.fun got to a stage where like the bar is raised so high. Why the fuck would you give some retard $10 million in a pre-sale? Like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
You can, and then in the end, coin launches at 200 million, and then you needed to uphold that to make a 2x.
It has to go to $1 billion.
What are you doing?
Yeah.
What are you doing, man? Like, whereas you can invest in something that has stood the test of time. It battled out in the trenches. It's also at 60 million or 100 million. There's something there, you know what I mean? And it has nothing to do with, it ultimately has to do with, kind of what makes sense for people to get into,
Do you think the brutal pre-sale meta like rapidly sped up pump fund adoption? Because people were seeing this and like, what the fuck? I mean, I gave Machi raised how much? $100 million. I sent him money, still don't have it.
I think it was like 40
Panda
million,
raised 40. Basically, if you threw on a Milady PFP and bought 10K followers, you could make 8 figures in 24 hours for like 3 months.
For sure. I think it's a part of. It was also one of the main pitches back in the day. Like we said, there's no pre-sale, no bullshit. This is pump.fun is like, it's fair launches only. And again, you can say no fair launch is truly fair. Honestly, that's a fair point, because there's always people that are there early versus you. This is what it is.
That's the game.
That's the game. That's people trading assets. This is the same thing for Memecoins and for projects, DeFi, whatever. It's all the same thing. But the big difference is that one is 10x better than the other. So why would you ever consider doing the other thing again? Yeah, so like that's why no one is even. It's such a pathetic thought to even attempt a pre-sale these days. I think that is the biggest win that we accomplished with.
Wow.
No more pre-sales. $40 million, like this, hundreds of $millions sapped away from the ecosystem. I think that's an accomplishment for sure for the entire ecosystem.
Do you think there's a stigma around you as the premier builder in Memecoins from like this like inner VC infra sort of like cuck cabal space that like people look down on your mission and what you're trying to do?
I think to some extent, yes. I think at this point, it's not even, people aren't even that angry anymore, because I think people in infra know that their time is coming.
It's undeniable.
The clock is ticking.
You made it undeniable.
And we're just a representation of that. I would never take credit for, again, the market is all knowing. It's greater being. We're just a part of that trend, and I think we influence that significantly, but we're only one part of that trend. So infrastructure is like, people saw they used to be able to make easy money just based on like some shitty decks or whatever. They're still kind of able to do that, but their time is coming. So I think Yeah, I think a lot of them are honest people. I mean, they see the opportunity. They're just trying to make they're just trying to make some money, and the market is going to show them that they're not going to be able to do it that easily. They're actually going to have to create something of worth, something that people use. So, and I feel like every business person respects a project that ends up.
You have to.
You have to. I mean, who are you to judge based on what they can do? What I've seen a lot is like they've said. I think that the main thing generally is like meme coins. People are like, okay, meme coins are for this cycle, and this basically like pump.fun doesn't have a future. That's like the big one. That's like the copium that I'm seeing these days. And we'll see. I mean, obviously, I can't sit here with confidence and say that we're going to be pump.fun is going to be this is going to grow 1,000x from here, but ultimately that's also why I'm here. I do believe in it. But I can't. No one can say for certain.
I guess with that last point, like, what does the path for Pump Fund doing 1,000x growth wise from here look like? Like, what does that trajectory look like? How do you get there?
I think ultimately it comes down to leaning into what we've already done. And I think this is very underlooked as well. Very, very, or people haven't really been paying attention to this, is that by democratizing something, you actually get more people into the system. They're like, oh, it's so much shittier now with pump.fun, but guess what? You have a lot more people that are playing this game now, and this is what you wanted, right? If you have people talking about the meme coin super cycle and shilling them their coins, but then when more people come into the space, they start complaining. Yeah. This is what it looks like. This is what innovation.
You asked
like.
for this.
You asked for this, and this is what it looks like. And we're gonna lean into it even more heavily. So if we're talking democratization, we're going to lean into that even further. One big thing is so it's democratizing access to information, but also the social side of things. Mm-hmm. We think that, so far the kind of the more it's about the meme and the more you force people to be like, actually be funny, man, or do something different to stand out, the better the experience is, not just from a perspective of there's more opportunities to get in early and maybe make money, but also from the aspect of this space actually becomes like a lot more entertaining. It's kind of like CT. Like the more people are in CT and the more kind of characters clash heads, it gets kind of attractive. It's a little radical, but because you've got that learning curve. But that's the appeal of it as well. It's radical, and I think that's what pump.fun is. Pump.fun is controversial. It's always going to be controversial and radical in that form, and that's why people are going to be interested in it, and that will never change, no matter how much we democratize it and make it more user friendly or whatever. But you've got to we need to figure out a way to make it more accessible and get more people involved by improving the experience while maintaining the culture that makes it so exciting in the first place.
So on the democratization radical point, is maybe like a little bit of a sensitive topic, but I think it's one worth hitting, is that there's been a lot of metas that have come through pump.fun, and some of them have been pretty brutal, right? There's like the racist meta, there's Ansem's family meta. Like there's some like brutal metas that come through. I think it's a reflection though of attention cycles and people's thoughts and their actions and what they do. Pump.fun isn't creating these metas, but rather like allowing them to exist. While some other platforms, Dex Screener famously, some of these other platforms have like really pushed back against, shadow banned, shunned, denied some of these things from existing on their platforms. Like, how do you in Pump Fund think about the content that exists on the platform? What's allowed, what isn't, where you draw the line, why and how you host these metas?
For sure. So first and foremost, to speak to a point I mentioned earlier, I think Pump.fun is a really brutal reflection of what crypto Twitter is today, and there's a lot of it's good, but a lot of it is bad. But that is a subjective point of view. A lot of people have different views about what's good and what's bad. That is not our place. Again, the market does its own thing. Whether Pump.fun is there or not is honestly a marginal difference. Ultimately, the market is going to do its own thing. So it's not only just like it's morally wrong for us to interject there. Where I think we do have some responsibility is when it becomes very, very sensitive for particular individuals. Yeah. I think this is not the first time such a question has been has been put out there. Ultimately, this is the question that every single social media company has to answer at some point, right? And there are many playbooks that have been drawn up, and we do take inspiration from some of those. I mean, ultimately, yeah, some of the pump.fun metas were quite controversial, but do these metas exist in Twitter? Of course, it's the exact same thing. So does Twitter censor them? No. It's honestly that simple sometimes. But yeah, a line has to be drawn at some point, and when it comes to violence and to things that really affect individuals, I think that is a point where you need to interject. But the culture is going to do what the culture is going to do most of the time.
So I have a similar point of view on this, and it's sort of like if I had to like distill your take down, it's basically like you don't play God on what people want and don't want until maybe it passes into a dangerous line. But I mean, I just did an interview with Andrew Tate, and that was, I mean, relatively extremely controversial. And there's a lot of people that are like, how dare you platform that man? How dare you speak to him? How dare you offer him a platform? And my perspective on it was like, look, the guy's got 10 million followers. The coin's at 100, 200 mil market cap. Every tweet he posts gets a million views. Yeah, people obviously want to hear from him. I'm going to go host him. I'm going to have the conversation with him. I'm going to hear him out on him, see his point of views. Just because he says something crazy in our interview doesn't mean that I like agree with him. Just like it doesn't mean that Pump Fun agrees and stands with every coin that launches on the platform. But it also means that just because you maybe have a different point of view, that the conversation can still exist, right? That meta can still exist, that coin can still exist. And I think I take a very similar approach in how I think about myself as an interviewer long term. The same way that Tucker Carlson just did a Putin interview, right? A lot of people that would say, "Oh, that guy's, he's a dictator. That guy's crazy. How dare you platform him?" When the other side of the equation is like the guy has attention. People are gonna see what he's going to say anyways. You don't have to agree with him to have a conversation with him. And I think you guys have a similar perspective on what is and isn't allowed on Pump Fun. And I think it's a perspective that I agree with.
100%. I think culture can never progress without new things or topics that are on the fringes of what is acceptable and what isn't acceptable
Yes.
are kind of tackled. So if you start telling people what's right and what's wrong, you will never. The culture that happens on your platform or whatever is never going. It's never going to move anywhere, and that's slowly. That is how you bleed slowly. So if we started saying this is fine, this is not fine, people would start looking elsewhere, and it wouldn't just be they would start looking elsewhere. They would be like, yeah, this Memecoin stuff, it's a load of horse shit. Because that's kind of the whole point of it as well. It's allowing people to express themselves and really unite. I mean, in a way, you buying into something is your way of agreeing with it to some extent. It could be you agreeing with it in terms of you want to back it because you actually believe in it, but it could also be something that you think needs to be discussed or will be discussed. You're betting on something. If you're the stupid example, Bowden, Biden's presidency and kind of like the fact that he's this this really old dude. Obviously, people are buying it to make money, but indirectly they're buying it because they think that this narrative has legs. They think people like this needs to be discussed. Like why do we have this geriatric president? You know what I mean? Like that's what it means. So yeah, ultimately it boils down to these very simple concepts.
Yeah, there's also this point where it's like, well, a couple things. One, if there's something people want to trade and you don't allow them to trade it, somebody else will, and they will look elsewhere. I think that's like a fair point. There's also this take on like culture where it's like, for culture to go and evolve into something that doesn't currently exist, it has to like push boundaries and do things that are outside of the norms, right? For wherever our meme coin culture is going to look in like 18 months, in order to get there, it's going to have to take steps and evolve through metas that are new and fresh and haven't happened before, and the dominoes haven't fallen in prior ways that they've already fallen to then get to the new place. So to like put it in this box as it's worked this way before, so we're gonna just keep it this way, is how you like fully stagnate, which I think you just touched on it, which I think is interesting.
just one thing. I think culture. I think there are many people in the space that they're really familiar with crypto and trading, and they don't really understand this. Culture is really like markets. When you're trading markets, you love trading something that's hated. When people are heavily, you're going long and everyone's heavily short, because that controversy creates opportunity. It's the same thing with culture. If there's something controversial going on, there's probably something there that is interesting or that can move the culture forward. Um, Almost in everything that happens, and so there's even the really bad. There's probably something to be learned there.
It's just bringing it back to the Andrew Tate thing one more time, 'cause I think it's so interesting. You just fucking spit a banger. Is that to me it was like a fairly big moment, just more so the story of like one of us, a crypto Twitter person, sort of like breaking on the outside. But I think the only reason that it was like as big as it was, now mind you, I'm in a bubble, so it was bigger to me than it was to you, is that every single person, specifically the angry people, are on Twitter talking about it, posting about it, quote tweeting it with their angry views, and like indirectly directing more and more energy and attention and mind share to this thing. And it's kind of like it's a little bit like the censored metas, where it's like everybody is like so angry and just beside themselves that this is going on, so they talk about it and they talk about it and they get on a space and they talk about it. It's like this happened with the Iggy Azalea coin after the first like 80% drawdown. Like people were so excited to dunk on it and talk shit at Ansem,
With
talk shit at me. Yeah, just like Whiff. They were so excited to dunk on it that indirectly they brought it back, because I would imagine the people that are holding that thing in this moment are like, oh yeah, like there's like a lot of energy here. People really care about this thing, and you indirectly it comes roaring back because of the antagonist on the other side.
And then they wonder why in pump.fun you have people that pay others to FUD their coins. There's a lesson in there.
There's a fucking lesson in there, which is hilarious, and I guess this like brings it back. I had this interesting take that I wrote actually one of the few Threadguy like articles that Fantasy Top was a Twitter L2, and I think pump.fun is like the ultimate Twitter L2. And I want to get your take on this. Like, is pump.fun SocialFi?
Yeah, 100%. Like through and through. I think it's just like not what people imagined.
At all.
Not at all. But I think that this is what SocialFi looks like to a great extent. I think you want to talk SocialFi, some people call it crypto social, whatever. There's many different angles to it. But ultimately you're combining finance and social media, like or social elements to some degree. I think how pump.fun is SocialFi in the most crypto native way. Full stop. Because the other ways are kind of trying to bring in more elements of social media, and that's fine. I think some of them are really successful. Fantasy Top is very successful, and they are leaning quite heavily into what already exists. Twitter exists. Because, again, crypto Twitter is such a great product, but it's Web 2. I think pump.fun is SocialFi in the most raw CT way possible. Because it really boils down to every single little aspect there is tailored towards CT, like the fact that you can create a coin, the fact that you can buy and sell that coin. I could go on for ages about all the different elements in the website, but ultimately I think we kind of get the gist that this is like CT in its raw form.
Do you see pump.fun as a Twitter competitor?
It's a really good question. I think ultimately, if you're building anything in social, everyone's a competitor, right? Everyone's competing over the same attention. So if people are not discussing pump.fun CTOs in the pump.fun threads, they're discussing them on Telegram or they're discussing them on Twitter. I obviously know, I believe, and I think this is fact, that, for example, with CTOs or anything related to meme coins, in its earliest stages, it should take place on pump.fun because it's tailored, it's made for that experience. You get the best out of it. So, for instance, if when a coin really goes crazy, people can go back in time and be like, "What happened on day one? Is this really legit?" And I think that's a big part of meme coins as a whole. So in that place, we're replacing Twitter, we're replacing Telegram, and I think as we continue growing and making the experience of buying, trading meme coins, or just generally trading assets, trading crypto with friends, we're going to be taking more some more of that traffic away from Telegram or Twitter. And I think ultimately it's for the best, right? Again, I mentioned the CTOs. I mentioned like looking back in history. I think there's many more use cases that are similar like that. That I urge you guys to follow and kind of see.
Yeah.
How the developments come along with pump.fun.
So I'm one of these people that's in the boat, fully pilled on crypto. Twitter is like the best product of crypto. I've always thought the social layer is by far the most interesting. And I was brought in through NFTs, and NFTs are just like inherently as social as you can get. We're here on a podcast. I do spaces. Like I tweet like a maniac. Like I fucking love this shit, right? I love the social side. I'm curious with Pump Fun, like how far down the like social features rabbit hole do you plan to go, like in sight? Because it's inherently social right now with the threads, and you can go and you can see the devs, every coin that they've launched, and obviously the main UI is insane, which we haven't even talked about. Is fucking insane. There's like a lot of social features inherently already built into the app. As you think like long term new features, what you're planning, what you're building, like how do you think about that evolving? For as
Yes,
much as you want to say.
these are things that I can no longer reveal, but we're going to be leaning. We're going to continue lean into this side of things. Just look at what we released. We released live streaming. I think what we do speaks far louder than what I can say.
Has that taken off like you expected so far?
I think it's done reasonably well. I think will. I know a lot of people in the community ask themselves why we introduced that. They'll see this is going to be. It's going to be one of. It's going to be one of those aha moments in a few months. It's going to be one of the best features in crypto. Full stop.
I believe that. I also think the live streaming pump fun coins is where it gets like a really dystopian. Like there's gonna be some crazy shit. Like we want to talk like porn metas and shit like that. Like there's
I actually disagree with you.
really
I think it gives a platform to people to do that. But has there been one porn coin that has really gone crazy? Has there
No.
been one? You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
once you step into the really controversial stuff, you realize that yeah, people you tend to maybe think, oh, it's gonna get really dystopian because you're giving access to the same people that create those coins. But the fact is that people don't actually like that. So if you're talking about coins that can get to a billion or 100 million, like no one finds these concepts really interesting because people know that it's a little too controversial for there to be mass appeal. My answer is the market is going to do its thing.
Decides.
The market decides, and I'm confident. I've seen it happen many times. Things that are extremely controversial will only pick up to the extent to which they are really appreciated by the community. So in CT, there are some controversial things that are appreciated for better or for worse. There are other topics that people just don't really pay attention to and don't really give a shit about. That is not going to succeed.
Yeah.
It's really that simple. But yeah, I really don't think it's that dystopian in that regard. I think the things that are, you know what? I'm going to say this. This is the most alpha you're going to get out of me. Is that I think if we're talking about like dogs and cats and shit, I think if someone like GoPro'd put a GoPro on their like cat and then just like live stream that on pump.fun, I think that could be pretty funny. Something like that.
That's good actually. I like that a lot.
No, because people have been live streaming their like cats and dogs for the last couple of weeks, and it's like. Some of them have done reasonably well, but it's like someone just needs to take that extra step.
It needs some sauce.
It needs some sauce. I feel like, we're thinking of ways to like kind of urge people to do these sorts of things because it's gonna be next level. I really it's gonna be this. I think live streaming is gonna be absolute. Like we're gonna come back to this in like a couple months, and we're gonna be like this. This has been a banger. I'm telling you.
You've gotten to see like the rawest form of just like human psychology in the markets through Pump Fun. Like you've seen the whole thing from the inside, which no one else has really seen, this entire meta. Like how much have you learned in the last 6 months, 12 months about human psychology and like how it impacts attention? Like I know it's sort of a broad philosophical question, but
very vague question, but okay, obviously a lot. I think man, I'm just thinking what aspect I can tackle with this because there's so many things. I think in particular, like really learning how to like drive a message home to people like that they really find intriguing. That's like There's so many ways to do it. Again, I come back. I come back talking about meme coins because I think meme coins are the best example of
Of
this.
course.
Because if we talk about like abstract concepts or like something that I did with my business, it's like no one can really verify that. But if we're talking about meme coins, people literally convince others to buy into something because there's some sort of narrative that there's something real there. There's a narrative. Um, I think you can tell which ones can do it well and don't do it well literally by the price, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, Again, there's always nuance to this because you can run up a coin to 2 billion with little to no liquidity, right? So I think it always comes back to price and mind share. Though that's what you should study. Look at who is able who are people talking about on crypto Twitter every single day. That's like where where you can where you can learn a lot about these sorts of things. And yeah, again, it's one of those things. I feel like if you haven't really been on pump.fun, you won't really get it.
Yeah, there's so much there. It's wild. As if we don't have a ton of time, so I want to make sure we hit a few other topics. You've tweeted about this a lot. I think it's a very interesting topic. Is there is a pretty significant stigma around launching meme coins. Like there just inherently is. And obviously pump.fun has sort of democratized it, really eased access and taken that down for some people, but I think it still just like inherently exists. A lot of people don't want to be public about the fact that they launch coins. There's this whole legal side that we won't even touch because I don't really see a point in going deep in that. But what are your thoughts on the stigma behind deving a coin, publicly launching it, and how Pump Fun has evolved that?
Yeah, I think it's one of those things again where in crypto, everything that's really everything that ends up being successful was once really highly stigmatized. The reason people stigmatize coin creation is because it's like you're putting your social capital behind something or it's seen like the way it's seen is that you're trading your social capital for financial capital, right? You're like I'm backing this and I'm going to dump on you later on, and like this people find that that juxtaposition is really disturbing for some people, and I obviously understand why. I mean, look, there's people that are creating coins and dumping them like a second later, and there are people that have done the similar things with pre-sales and all that sort of stuff and gotten a lot of money out of it. Um, I think where we're headed, what I mentioned, I'm not urging people to be more transparent when launching coins because it's convenient for me. I'm doing it because this is literally what's successful. You can look at every single coin.
Yeah.
You see how they've evolved from the very first meme coin to the very last meme coin that has been successful. They've become more and more transparent as time evolves, and that de-risks people that launch coins. I think there's an opportunity there for people. Like honestly, if I was someone that's on the fence, I would say like if you have an idea, it's kind of like building a business. Why not do it today? Just do it today because soon it's not going to be stigmatized anymore. Everyone is going to be creating coins. It's going to be a new form of creating content. I truly believe that.
So I'm not even entirely trying to ask this question, but for someone like myself, I've never launched a coin. I've been very sort of like careful on what projects or coins or tokens, whatever that I like specifically that I back. Um, but I capture a lot of attention, and this podcast is gonna get a ton of attention. The Andrew Tate's gonna get a ton of attention. I do these spaces, like I have a lot of the social capital and haven't really cashed any of it in for financial capital. And I think that there's a lot of people that are in a similar bucket as I am.
For sure.
Do you think that this archetype evolves into down the line? You have a token, it's traded based off how much attention you have, and that's just like the way things are.
Yeah. So you're kind of like hinting at social tokens. I think it's a really interesting subject. I think social tokens are going to be a thing, but it's definitely not for everyone. I don't think that. There's a reason you haven't launched a Threadguy token yet, right? You know what I mean? Like, because it doesn't really align with what you want to achieve. However, I do think there's a reason for someone like you to launch a coin that's unrelated to yourself. I really do. The, you know, there have been some instances of coins out there launched by people that are well known on CT. Not to name any names, but again, but they're actually not. It's not me saying that they're undoxed. I mean, like they're doxed individuals in CT that connected themselves to coins out there, and I feel like I feel like this I feel like this archetype. I mean, I feel like this makes a lot more sense for everyone because if you have one coin, and that is what you're backing, you can't like any attention that you don't drive towards that coin or trying to make that coin successful. It doesn't necessarily like align with everyone's incentives because not everyone. Because essentially, if you're a celebrity, basically everything's your whole job is to stay relevant and stuff. So does it make sense for them to have social tokens? It kind of makes sense, yeah. But if you're someone that's in crypto and you kind of want to you want to test different narratives, you want to become involved, and again, obviously there's financial incentives in there, but that's again, I don't think there's anything wrong with that because this is why every single person is on CT in the first place. Everyone is here to make money. Why is that such a big thing? Why is that such a
Why are people afraid to say that?
Yeah, exactly. And I feel like the only thing that the nuance to that is that so far it's been so easy to get away with it in a non-transparent way, but I think we're slowly getting there to where it is expected and you have the infrastructure to do it in a really transparent way where no one can point fingers and be like, you really fucked me over.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's like the main thing for people that have a lot of social capital in this space. They're just really, they don't want to be in that spot. You know what I mean? But there are many coins out there today already from pump.fun that are connected to people on CT and they have publicly said that. Yeah. But so far they've done it in a good way. They're like, they launched the coin. They're like, these are my intentions. And this is kind of like how I intend to. This is what I'm bringing to the community, and this is how I intend to profit from this, or this is how I intend to gain from this as well. And that's the way to go about it. And I think once this becomes clear to people, it will become less stigmatized. And I think you'll see this unfold. It's already unfolded.
Happening.
It's already happened, and it will continue happening. It's gonna be like a really radical change in how things kind of happen on.
There's a lot of people that are changing the narrative. I think shout out to K Money. I know Mog isn't a pump fun coin, but has definitely like very publicly doxed individual that's kind of put his entire
100%.
stack of social capital behind a coin and has done well. I mean, Billy's a great one. Guys like Base16Z that have sort of like very publicly put a lot of social capital behind these tokens, and it does well. I think when you Ansem, obviously another one. I think when you see people. Like when you're on the fence about it and then you see these like very respected individuals do it and it go well, it sort of crushes that barrier down a little bit, which is interesting.
For sure, it's happening, and
it's happening fast.
It sounds like I'm trying to sell you something. Like if you're on the fence, like launch your coin, but like truly, soon it's not going to be that special anymore to launch a coin. Like everyone's going to be doing it, and it's already been happening. Like now there's like so many coins out there, but it's gonna go hyperbolic.
All right, let's get the counter. I'm sure you've heard this or read this narrative quite a few times that pump.fun is the worst thing to ever happen to crypto. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the worst thing to happen to crypto for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Certainly because of everything we discussed. It's a lot more transparent now. The veil is uncovered for what crypto really is, and people don't like their reality. People don't like that, and for a lot of people in the space, so we're talking, people that are really invested. Like infra is the best example, but there's people in other areas of the space as well. That pump.fun is the kind of like a little bit of a fuck you to them, and that's just how markets are. Because again, I wouldn't take credit for that necessarily, because I think anything in Memecoins would attract that. But I think what we represent a project that really embraced all of these things. So now, before, when people before got rugged and things didn't go well, they didn't have anyone to blame. They're like, yeah, Solana is just a piece of shit chain. Like people just like, selling coins all the time, whatever. But with with pump.fun, you have this sort of, you have like an entity that you can kind of point towards. Okay. And I think that's fine. I'm fine. With any position, with any influential position, there comes this sort of responsibility, and we're fine with taking that on because we know that we helped create a much better space moving forward, and I fully stand by that. And honestly, if you don't, if you don't see how things have changed for the better and over the last couple of months, it's you either don't know what you're talking about or it's just pure cope.
You know, there's gonna be movies made about you motherfuckers, right?
Let's see.
How do you how do you stay at the top as like the premier place to launch these coins? Because I'm sure, I mean, it's happening in real time that there's just like OpenSea was, you know, the only NFT marketplace for however long. And then Blur comes around, the Magic Eden comes around, and all these platforms come and eat their fucking lunch. How do you stay at the top and stop competitors
You
from
need
stealing
to
market share?
you need to move fast, and you need to understand. You need to always you need to. What if when a lot of people like make it with the product, they think they're all knowing and they think they know exactly what users want, and it's always going to be that way. It's good to have conviction, but what was clear with OpenSea, for instance, is that they didn't really. They created something that users wanted at some point, you know, at initially, but then they failed to innovate on that because that need evolved. People wanted to trade them, like people want to trade them in a more liquid manner, a better user interface, etc., and that presents an opportunity for Blur. Or people wanted to explore other ecosystems. You have Magic Eden, you know, with ordinals. You've got a bunch of these you know, not these trends, but like literal, you know, deep desires by users to try different things as metas evolve and as new tech comes along, and you just need to stay on the ball. And it always comes down to just really being close to the trenches and seeing what people are doing, what people are talking about. And we need to keep ourselves honest. Like I like to say that I understand the market and that I have an ear close to the market because I also like to use my own platform.
That's a big one.
It's a big one, but you never know for sure. You need to, you know, and your ego always has to remain low when it comes to this, because if you don't, then people eventually, someone that's in the trenches will create a product that is going to fill some sort of niche that you didn't think of, and that's how things can really snowball. And in OpenSea's case, it ended up being that competitors came along, they lost most of their market share.
Is it wild for you to see all of these celebrities come on to crypto and make a tweet with a fucking pump.fun link and a coin?
Yeah, it's absurd.
Like, how crazy is that?
It's
Like, did you expect that January? Did you expect that to happen?
Honestly, like if there was anything that we expected, we really did believe that we would succeed with this product. But you know, if you told me that there was gonna be like a, you know, Iggy Azalea was gonna launch her coin on Pumped Up, I would never. That's just crazy. But you know, given where we are and you know, now in hindsight, it kind of made sense where a lot of this stuff is coming from.
Looking back, it makes sense.
Looking back, it kind of makes
Is
sense.
there any part of you that feels you have to normie code the UI and the website for if you were to reach 100 million users? First of all, the UI is incredible. It is incredible. It's honestly amazing to me that it's gotten where it has with how it looks, and you've stayed true to the guns. It's incredible, and I think everyone in like deep crypto like really appreciates it. But is there any part of you that's like, okay, if we're gonna get, you know, your 14-year-old little cousin off TikTok buying pump fun coins, that we have to like simplify what this looks like?
Yeah, you want to stay true to the culture for sure, but ultimately we will have to. You know, we have already made a few kind of improvements to the UI, and ultimately, like a big part of it is just product design, making sure that it's smooth and everything makes sense, and that every little real estate on the website has its purpose. But as I mentioned, the whole appeal of the platform as well is like this. It's such a real culture. It's it's so true to what the space is, and if we diverge from that, the product is just not as good anymore. So and everything factors into that. What we build for the product, our marketing, and the UI as well. So I would say we'll probably make it a little more user friendly, but the feeling that you get when you come into pump.fun, like what I want to achieve and what I think really brings the space forward is a unique user experience for a non-crypto native, someone that doesn't even have a Coinbase account, hasn't bought Bitcoin or ETH. They go on their phone and they open this website and they feel something they've never felt before. Like, this is truly different. I feel like in normie social media, for the last 10 years, everything's so fucking corporate. Everything's the same. Everything's so cookie cutter. I think when people realize this is different. Like this is and they're being treated as a consumer. If you're 99.9% of the time when you're on this app, you have your screen in front of you, and you're just consuming, and it's like not interactive whatsoever. But when you come into pump.fun, like you are the experience, you are a part of it. I think it's really going to resonate with a lot of people, and I think that's what's going to bring the space forward ultimately.
Dude, what do investors think when they first see pump fun?
You mean like investors?
Yeah.
Well, it depends. It depends who you're talking about. I think there's many people today that still think it's like, it's a fad or whatever. Ultimately, again, pump.fun represents. I think, like, truthfully, if you fade pump.fun, you're fading CT culture. You're fading on-chain.
Yeah.
You're fading on-chain degeneracy. Forget meme coins. Forget everything. Pump.fun represents CT and on-chain degeneracy. I think that is a fact. And if you fade that, you have no place being in crypto. And I think many people are going to get humbled big time in the next couple of years.
So let me ask you this: is on this sort of like financial nihilism, crypto nihilism, is gambling and degeneracy like the ultimate use case of crypto?
I think it makes sense why it was the first one, and it's a banger one.
It's a fun one.
It's a fun one, and we need to embrace it. But I think there's so many more, and you're already seeing on like Solana as well. You're already seeing a lot of really interesting stuff. Like DePIN is a big one. Obviously, DeFi is the OG one. DeFi is really changing lives out here. There's so many use cases out there. I think this use case just makes sense that it's really clearly speculation is going to be the first use case, apart from maybe payments, that really gains tons and tons of usage. We're talking about, look, the centralized exchanges. That's like these are the biggest players in the space. Their the use case there is speculation, right?
Yeah.
How is this any different? I think this is just the angle here is just a lot more unique because it's on chain. It takes, centralized exchanges are kind of like a bit more OG, but here it's like the I guess like the new school of like what's popular with crypto people and CT. So yeah, I think that this vertical is what's going to end up getting mass traction first, but there's going to be many others to follow.
It's a good answer. I like that it's like it's not the only, but it's like the first one that really. Because I mean, even I was just at my friend's college graduation the other day, and I went and saw my old like college friends, and 8 out of 10 of them have like less than $100 in their bank account and like a riveting sports gambling addiction. And they make no money on. You make zero money in sport. You do not make money in sports betting. Nobody makes money in sports betting unless you're professional. And it just like makes sense that you fucking take that $100, close your eyes, and fire it into some coins, rather than sports betting.
Yeah, I think this kind of we want to talk meme coin super cycle. I think the timing is right for meme coins to really get adopted by non-crypto native people. And the tech is actually there.
The infrastructure is
infrastructure is actually there.
Yes.
Like you don't need to build any more bullshit infrastructure. It's there.
No more L2s.
Solana works. Solana is brilliant. But yeah, there's plenty of other places where the infrastructure actually isn't there. The tech really needs to be built out. If you're talking DeFi, if you're talking DePIN, that makes a lot more sense. And that's why you shouldn't expect to be able to invest in an infrastructure in these coins that are gonna it's like a make it play on day one. Like these things take a long time to play out, and the fact is that memes and even like platform coins, which are basically memes, that's like the first real use case that exists for crypto.
It also shouldn't be a guarantee that if you get in early on some infra play, it's like going to 50 bill and you're
yeah.
Like that should not be a guarantee.
It's deeply the market, private market is deeply broken, and I think there's only going to really be a change there. Because I know we haven't really been touching on that, and honestly, I'm a bit from outside of that space, but I've gotten a lot of insights from it being a builder, of course, and being in those circles. That I really think that for infra to change its playbook, and by the way, even if CT is really mad about it, nothing has really changed, not much. It's going to take time to play out, and people that are pumping up these bags and dumping them on retail at like billions of dollars of FDVs, they're only going to start changing their behaviors once they start bleeding.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's going to take a long time because you've got these private market rounds. They take years to unfold, and then they launch, and it's these super hype launches on centralized exchanges, and there's unlocks. It's going to take a while for that to hit, regrettably. But I think, you know, they need to. They don't get the message. We need to send them a message.
You're sending it.
We need to send a message, not just with meme coins, but yeah, they're gonna have to. They're already bleeding. All alts are bleeding, and many of those infrastructure plays will never make a comeback. But yeah, I feel like we should also play a role here. We need to send memes higher to make them cope even more.
I mean, it's just crazy. Like, no matter how angry people get on CT or how many gigabrain 100 tweet info threads I read, it's like I am forever in the belief that crypto Twitter is the most fun part. It's the best part of crypto. 2021 cycle, I showed up every single day, tweeted 100 times a day, and I wasn't even trading I was barely even trading NFTs or coins. I was just tweeting about what was happening because it was so fun. It was so interesting. And that memes are a direct representation of that. And I think it feels like there's two sides of this cycle, and it's either like old guard, you're mad, you're not making money, or it's like new guard, you're participating in what's happening, you're making money, you're having fucking fun. And it's like very distinct who's on what side.
I think this comes back to what we said. I think because it's so controversial, this is like a really pivotal moment in crypto. And I think this is if you don't know what to be optimistic about, this is what you should be optimistic about. You should be optimistic about the fact that this is a pivotal moment and something will come out of this. I would say this like 6 to 12 month stretch between probably a really, really bad bear market and the bull market that we're in or we're entering into. And by the way, this cycle's far from done. So
I thank you for saying that.
Yeah,
because I can't even have for people to say that we just went through an entire bull cycle and it's over is crazy to me because it feels like nothing happened, bro. Like what happened? It feels like nothing happened. There's a couple pump.fun went crazy. Bitcoin barely sniffed an all-time high. And there was a couple coins, went to a couple bill, and that was about it.
Yeah, people are just like
nothing happened.
They just need stimulus, and not much is happening. But these things like take time to really unfold, like the ETFs and And again, what people are building on chain and new use cases. It takes a while until we can become optimistic again. So I think we're honestly these last couple of days really I'm not sure if it's an all-time high in nihilism and like pessimism.
It's getting there.
We're really getting there. Maybe we're not quite there yet. Maybe it's in the next couple of months, but I think slowly we're gonna start seeing optimism again. And I don't think at all this is gonna take away from memes. I think it's just gonna add to it. But I think it's just gonna be like. Just like in the last cycle, we had so many different narratives going on. Right now, we just have memes. I think there's going to be there could definitely be more narratives. There probably will be, but I think memes are just going to gain steam as the front runner in terms of getting public adoption.
Well, the thing about memes too is even in the most brutal bear market, if we take into account that memes are like a direct representation of crypto Twitter and CT culture. Even the most brutal the bear market was lit, bro. There was so much going on in the bear market.
That's true.
So it's like there are attention cycles still happening, even though Bitcoin isn't is dumping or isn't riveting higher. It's like there is still like Pepe happened in a very weird market.
Yeah, I mean, all that stuff happened on base. You had NFTs were going down, but there's stuff going on. It was exciting.
There's always mini cycles happening. And that's a big bull case for the memes. We're about to get up on time. Here's the last thing I want to ask you is, will Solana forever be the king home place for memes? Like, what would it take to replace Solana as like the primary source of meme coin culture?
I don't know. I really can't see it. I think that the big unlock for memes is zero friction. Just the reason why Solana succeeded is the same reason pump.fun succeeded. They lowered the barrier to entry for people to create these and play in these ecosystems like buy and sell coins. I think the missing, like what people miss oftentimes is like, this is not. I mentioned attention. And maybe like user experience can kind of group them together. And the second big piece is liquidity. In order to steal liquidity from a system as large as Solana, you need to have something new that is like so much better than Solana that people are going to like move over their liquidity over there. And I think it's really difficult to see that. You've got people like to mention Telegram. Okay, has 900 million users. My mom thinks Telegram is a news platform. She doesn't even know it's a messaging platform. Like most people that use Telegram don't even know that it's a messaging platform. So once they realize, oh, it's like also a crypto thing. Like I'm not saying that it can't happen. I'm saying that it's right now the ton narrative is just a narrative, and there's nothing to it yet. There may be something there in the future, but you need something like a really big differentiator to steal liquidity from one ecosystem to another. It's just very, very difficult. So that's why I think meme coins to really succeed, they need the barrier to entry needs to be really, really low. I think there needs to be good liquidity and an ecosystem that's generally thriving. And you've got that on Solana, so it's very difficult to take that away.
We're about to be up on time here. They're gonna drag me out of here. First of all, this has been incredible. Thank you for coming on. I know you don't do a ton of these interviews. It's like I feel like I caught a legendary Pokemon with this interview. I guess it's like the worst wrap up question ever because we fucking hit a lot. Pump.fun, Memecoin super cycle. Like where is this going? What's next? And it's like how crazy is this about to get?
I think people kind of think that celebrities came on and this is like the craziest that it can get. I think it's going to get way crazier. But it's not going to be in the way you expect it. I think we definitely didn't expect the celebrities.
Yeah.
Just like we didn't expect the thing with the whole celebrity piece. We're not going to expect what's coming next. And even I can't necessarily tell you what it is, but I think we can predict that if we keep building in the direction that we have already been, we've already been, and the things that we've been betting on, we're going to get there eventually. And it's going to be sooner rather than later for sure.
Bro, thanks for coming on. It was
Thank
a
you
fucking
too.
banger.
Yeah, no, it was great.
Alon, co-founder of Pump Fun. Thank you all so much for pulling up. Thank you all so much for listening. I'll catch you when I catch you. I'll see you when I see you. Have a great rest of your day. Love you, motherfuckers. Peace. We don't usually do this, but Malcolm's here. He's been a fucking big part of this. He's got a step. I'm gonna let him pop on, ask a question real quick if you're cool with that.
Yeah, for sure.
I mean, one is how many coins have launched on pump.fun so far?
Yeah, so this is something
Millions?
over 1 million.
Over 1 million. Okay, cool. So, I mean, majority of the coins that launch on pump.fun go to zero, but you've had a few that have been wildly successful, reaching like $1 billion. So the question is, what does it take for a pump.fun coin to reach $1 billion?
You need a really, really, really banger narrative from start to finish, right? And you need something that not only resonates with people in the beginning, but you need a narrative that can evolve into something later on. I feel like some things are kind of obvious. Like obviously you've had like dog coins and stuff because there's Doge and whatnot. The earliest successful memes have been dogs, so surely the most successful coin is going to be a dog too because it's meme coins, right? It's kind of obvious. But slowly it's becoming more interesting because now it's like, okay, you've got political coins. Some people think it's total bullshit. Some people think it's like there's something there. Some people, you're wearing the moggles. Some people love culture coins. Things that are culturally relevant. Other people want to take it even a step further, and they want to make it like a really interactive experience, so to speak. You've got like pump.fun live streams, or even before that, I'm sure you guys saw like the really wild live streams that have been taking place. Mm-hmm. There's many things that you can do, but the main thing is like you need to stand out somehow. So either you need to pick a narrative that you think can really scale. I think yeah, culture coins are a really good example of that because that's the whole point of culture coins, that they can really scale because people outside of the space are already familiar with those memes and those terms and these like notions. People know what it means to get mogged. You know what I mean?
Makes sense. Yeah.
And it really depends. So, but you can't just fit everything in one bucket. You've got Pepe and Doge, for instance. That's like Lindy. So, and that Pepe, for instance, I don't think my normie friends really get or understand Pepe. But that doesn't really matter because in the crypto space, that's like the meme from day one, right? And there's a lot of liquidity in this space, so it makes sense that it's a dominant meme. Anyway, I think I'm kind of repeating myself with the narrative thing, but you need a really strong narrative. I think generally the more transparent you are, the better. I think back in the day, you could really get away with doing a whole bunch of stuff behind the scenes, and it was kind of people didn't really care because dev is based, whatever. They're gonna do what
Right.
they're gonna do. If they're gonna dump on me and rug me, then whatever. But these days, the standard is much higher. You can say whatever you want about pump.fun, but I think this. I think I might touch on this later, but like I think you know, the standard or the bar has been raised so significantly that you might as well just be fully transparent about what your intentions are from day one. I think that is a huge reason why hate all you want, but Mother went to like 200 million.
Right.
Why did it go that way? And all these other celeb coins went to zero. Obviously, most of them fucking rugged them, but Iggy could have just kind of sat on it and not really done anything. She could have sold, not sold, whatever. But the point is that she was being transparent about what she's trying to do here, and slowly people realize, okay, there could be something to it, and I think that's what drove it. That's what drove its mind share. Again, like you can hate all you want about its price action, bag holders, whatever, but ultimately we're talking about it right now, and that's the important thing. So yeah, transparency is really important. You should also get the right people involved for sure. I think if you're a dev and you create it, you don't fall into like short-term traps like giving people free shit. Ultimately, people need to like actually like it, like the meme and believe in it and get on board with it too. Because if they want you to if it's a transactional, like if you ask me for 5% of the supply or whatever, so you shill it, it's just not going to work out anyway. Right. So like, well, what the hell's the point? And it's memes, man. Like, what are we doing? What are we like? Why are we striking these deals like it's some infrastructure deal? You know what I mean?
Right.
Some vaporware garbage behind the scenes deal. Like why we're not doing that?
Yeah.
We're trying to unite behind something that we actually kind of find funny and we think can scale reasonably. So yeah, that's that. I think these three factors are pretty important. Who you get involved, the narrative, and transparency.
Very cool. And another question is, you've seen a lot of people from different walks of life launch coins, right? You have like the kid in his basement who's never launched a coin or touched crypto. He finds pump.fun, he launches something. And then you have sophisticated dev teams going out and orchestrating launches and KOLs and all these different things. Are there any themes or just like insights you've had from watching the best teams evolve? Like, what does it look like? Like the coins who have been successful, what do the teams look like? How do they evolve over time? And yeah, just explain like Memecoin teams on Telegram. It's just such an interesting phenomenon.
That's a really good question. I think these are the sorts of things that never get mentioned. Forget on like podcasts and stuff, but not even on crypto Twitter. People think it's like, I don't know. I think it's actually, it doesn't. I think I mentioned the builders earlier on. Builders don't really understand the space. I think even on crypto Twitter, people don't even like talking about what goes into a meme coin because they think it's irrelevant and cringe. You know what I mean? It's like, but these are the things that users are talking about in their chats. Like how do I dev this coin? How do I get this to the next level? So I feel like the most important thing is you need to understand kind of what game you're playing, right? So if I'm really good at, I can kind of get this off the ground, but to take it to the next level, I need some people to raise more awareness for it. Then you need to go out and make those connections, make those friends, right? Ultimately, these, if you think about it like in terms of product, like product is nothing without distribution. So if there's like a meme out there and you're not able to show people what it is and what the narrative is, then it doesn't matter. So you need people that can help you do that. Whether it's, I don't know, creating memes, whether it's getting it out there on crypto Twitter in one way or another. The simplest way people do it is they're the KOL shit, but there's other ways to do it. You can just do something that's just really funny. Like for instance, something I found really funny is people like shilling coins outside of crypto Twitter, like dating apps or something.
Yeah.
I think we all know what we're talking about. Yeah. I think we all know what we're talking about. That shit is really funny. Like if you're creative about it, you're gonna stand out. I think it's like people see oh my god, there's like hundreds of thousands of coins on pump.fun. You'd be surprised how easy it is to stand out. Truly, like just go on there. I think put your creative mind in it. It's definitely doable. So yeah, definitely creative, but you need to be willing to adapt and just believe in the vision. I mean, ultimately, if you're the one that created it, you need to be willing to give quote unquote give a piece of it to other people. Like you can't just take all the credit, or you can't be afraid to be super under the shadows as well. People really like it when there's a leader that's kind of leading it. Michi comes to mind when it comes to that. Mog has that too. A bunch of these have that, and I think that's really important. But yeah, we can run in circles and mention every single coin out and what they did well, but I think they all come back to these notions.
Yeah. What's super cool is that a Memecoin team oftentimes is not composed of the people who started the coin, right? You'll have somebody start the coin, and then maybe they'll rug, maybe they'll be a CTO, or maybe people will just buy the coin because they like the meme, and then they start participating. It does feel very future of work in that sense, where you can kind of be like if you're a good meme maker, for example, right, and you like a given meme, you can buy some of the supply, and then you start participating, start onboarding your friends, and just kind of emergently evolving like this. But I think. Yeah, looking back on this time period in a few years, we're going to be like, oh, this was a turning point for how crypto teams operate. It's almost like, this meme coin meta has created DAOs in a much more efficient way. Like the goal of the DAO was a decentralized organization that was, people participated when they owned part of the coin, and you kind of got this emergent organization. But there's all these rules and governance and all these different things. But with meme coins, everybody just buys some of the supply. They come and they work together. They make decisions. Sometimes there's conflicts. They have to figure it out. But it's just like a beautiful emergent thing that you've created here.
That's a really good point. I actually haven't heard that comparing meme coins to DAOs, because DAOs are like this really abstract theoretical concept. People do a bunch of research in it and how to optimize them around certain protocols and stuff like that. In reality, most of them have absolutely no use case whatsoever. But the best things in any industry happen spontaneously. They're emergent behaviors, and you get that with meme coins, because people are doing that. People can watch this clip, call me a clown, whatever, but like people are using this, people are doing this. Right. That's a fact.
Yep.
And this is how they're doing. I think people should fucking study this.
Yeah,
like
100%.
If you're trying to build a DAO, like study this. Like you need to, because you're seeing thousands of how can you be seeing thousands of experiments of people doing a very similar thing to what you're setting out to build, and you're like negating that, and you're looking past that? It's if you have that mindset, you're pathetic, truly, and you're never going to succeed. You need to really look at reality and see what people are doing, and I feel like that's a fantastic point. Yeah, I think it's kind of on another note. It's really interesting how these kind of community takeovers take place. When a dev sells, or when there's like a couple of them going on at the same time or something. Ultimately, like it's just something that you can't really explain to someone when they haven't been a part of it. It's like the closest example, if you want to talk DAOs and like finance or whatever, you've got like multiple people trying to acquire something at the same time, but it's like, and control it, you know what I mean? And it's like, it's silly comparing those two, but it's like, you need to really live it to understand what's going on there. And it's very entertaining as well. Yeah. So I'd urge people to play around with it a little more, take it a little bit more seriously, for sure.
Awesome. Cool. Well, sorry for hijacking the pod. I'll give it back to Thread.